You're not scared, are you?
Hello and welcome. My name is Witty G, and I talk about odd, obscure, and nostalgic cartoons on the internet, attempting to find out what made them special to begin with. This channel is a place that brings attention to the aspects these strange cartoons succeed in, as well as some of the characteristics that could have been improved upon. But that last part isn't as important, because this piece of media has no flaws. So let's take it back to like 2004, 2005, sometime around then. I came from a pretty Christian household. This means instead of Harry Potter, we got the Book of Acts. Instead of New Year's Eve parties, we got New Year's Eve prayer events. And instead of Halloween, we got harvest festivals. And when I didn't go to these, I was at home watching all the other kids trick or treat and scolding them for damning themselves by participating in such an evil, pagan, devil holiday. Nah, not really.
Just joking, kid.
I was inside watching cartoons and Halloween specials, attempting to fill this festive, pumpkin-shaped hole in my heart. It was on that faithful 2004 or 2005 Halloween evening that I turned to Cartoon Network, and there it was, the strangest October holiday special I had ever seen.
Jimmy? Wait a minute. Is this that same Jimmy that said I like to gobble up little girls?
And I fucking loved it. It was so weird, so odd looking, yet so charming. I got excited every year to watch it. Fuck trick-or-treating and accidentally getting an apple with a razor inside. I'm gonna watch Scary Godmother and Twitches. But now, it's been quite a while since I last watched this special, and I'm so excited to check it out again with you guys. With the boys. That's the gender-inclusive boys, by the way. You can tell because there's a Z at the end. Also, shout out to us for making it to 1,000+ subscribers. That genuinely means the world to me that you guys even want to watch my content and care enough to subscribe. Actually, I had a script for this video back when I was only a little bit above 100 subscribers, so in that little bit of time, we've grown so much. And like I said, that means everything to me. So, thanks again. But enough of that. Let's get a little more background on where this Godmother of Scariness even came from. Scary Godmother Halloween Spooktakular was produced by the animation company Mainframe, known for other works like Reboot, which was the first fully CG TV series. This odd 3D cartoon called Weirdos, a few interpretations of Max Steel, but best of all, they had a part in the Netflix classic Barbie Dreamhouse Adventures. One of the taglines on the site is this: Mainframe animates our stories and yours. And the Halloween Spooktakular is proof of the latter. A comic book by the same name actually inspired the festive special, which most kids in the 2000s are vaguely familiar with. The author and illustrator of the work was the renowned comic book artist Jill Thompson, who has an equally amazing resume. Having worked with Dark Horse and DC Comics on various pieces, such as Wonder Woman, Swamp Thing, and the one most seem to know her for, The Sandman by Neil Gaiman, in the Scary Godmother series, Thompson used vivid autumnal color palettes emphasized by the medium of watercolor, bringing attention to the vibrancy of the colors seen in these pages from the book, and even evident on the cover. The style was liked so much that it earned Thompson an Eisner Award for Best Painter for her work on Scary Godmother.
Everybody want to know what I would do if I didn't win. I guess we'll never know.
The 1997 comic book was later turned into a stage play and premiered sometime in 2001 according to this article. At least there was something good that happened that year. Holy shit, that was only a couple days after. Here's a little bit of that performance.
Well, aren't you sweet? I work my talents to the bone to be the biggest, creepiest, scariest monster I can be. And nobody's ever given me anything for all my hard work. Well, not on purpose, that is, anyways. I pick up a lot of dirty socks by accident. Darn that static cling!
Bugaboo has now become one of my dream roles. In 2003, the first book of the series was turned into a 3D animated project produced by Mainframe. But this project wasn't solely a company reworking a children's book and forcing it to be a three-dimensional interpretation that basically misses the whole point of the original project.
We build Mazdas. What do you drive?
Aren't we forgetting something?
No, this actually was a choice made by Jill Thompson, who insisted that they go in a more three-dimensional direction with the presentation. This decision was made due to Thompson's love for the stop-motion style of Nightmare Before Christmas, and the belief this type of animation would suit her story better than a two-dimensional one. The company actually wanted to do a two-dimensional art style to replicate the watercolor medium that was used in the books, but through cooperation on both sides and following Thompson's intuition, they were able to create a unique visual style that captures the charm of the books and adds visual flares to the story that just weren't possible in its original format. The process for making the Spooktakular was heavy on the collaboration, with Thompson being an avid part of the creative process. She would draw emotion sheets for the characters and do watercolor sets of rooms from multiple angles. Some of these paintings ended up being used in the movie. The presentation used this pseudo 3D and 2D feel, with the characters being 3D models but the backgrounds having this watercolor aesthetic to them, which kind of blends the dimensional presentation. In a way, that enhances many aspects of the original format. The inspiration for the 1997 book that started this off was actually the birth of Thompson's first niece. In an interview with Karina Lawson on the site Wired, Thompson says,
"I love comics and painting with watercolor, and of course Halloween, but it was the birth of my first niece that provided the spark that started the whole Scary Godmother series. I really wanted to be her godmother, and I also wanted to make her a book for her first Halloween, but instead of hand painting a book for her as was my original plan, I realized I had a book I should try and get published, and the rest is history."
Another important aspect of the book series and the Halloween special was Thompson's intentions to make this for all ages. She says in an interview with Westfield Comics,
"Oh yeah, I wanted it to be something that I personally would enjoy and people in their 20s or 30s wouldn't feel stupid reading it, especially if they had children and they wanted to read it to them over and over again. I wanted something that bridged the gap between children's books and comic books."
We then hear Thompson's thoughts on how comics are divided now.
"Comics are so segregated now, it's hard to go into a comic book store and find a good amount of books that are good for all ages, books that I could read and have a good time, but then I wouldn't feel creepy passing them on to a kid. I think the fact that there aren't many comics for kids just makes our industry dwindle. People always try and make comics specifically for kids, but I found that when I would look at those, I would never have picked them up if I was a kid. They were fairly insulting and really insipid. I wanted something that might be good for everybody, and that's actually what I'm trying to do."
And I couldn't have said it better myself. The character of the Godmother, despite being titled scary, wasn't meant to be that at all. She's caring, quick-witted, and kind of like a fun aunt rather than a wise old godmother. In the same interview with Westfield Comics, Thompson says pretty clearly, and I mean, look and listen to her.
Why are you crying?
Because I like the sound of booing. Boo-hoo! Hoo!
Wouldn't you want to have a few martinis and play some Mario Kart with her at a slightly crowded Chili's restaurant? I know I would.
I know what kind of man you are.
The kind and fun-loving demeanor that Thompson was aiming for even propped up during the casting of this project. Most people who read through her lines went about it in an evil, almost sinister interpretation, similar to the voice one imagines for the Wicked Witch. But this wasn't the character Thompson had in mind at all, which led to Tabitha St. Gaiman getting the position due to her slightly more goofier approach.
You look 300 years younger.
Party?
Sure, our Halloween party. Me and my brewmates throw one every year.
I like parties.
Also, when you look at these two, do you see any similarities or anything? Well, you should, because Thompson actually designed the character based on herself. She says in the story section of this Kickstarter for the Scary Godmother doll,
"I wanted to make a book for the baby, and I also wanted to be her godmother. But I thought about me and my black motorcycle jacket and my pointy-toned shoes and wild red curls standing in the back of a church and mused out loud, I'd be a pretty scary godmother. And it was one of those light goes on moments. I immediately had a picture in my head of a goth, witchy type of fairy flitting about doing Halloween things for people. I had to draw her right away.
So yeah, Scary Godmother is a self-insert. Just kidding, but like kind of. This is really just proof that if you come up with a pretty good idea, scribble that shit down, because it might get you a stage play one day. Scary Godmother lives in an alternate world known as the Fright Side, where there are a bunch of bats and pumpkin-shaped clouds, but still tons of candy. So you know, not all bad. She also has a ghost cat named Boozle, which I assume is more of that Nightmare Before Christmas inspiration. Other residents include Mr. Scully Pettibone, who is one of Scary Godmother's broommates. Because if you didn't know, the housing market is even bad in other dimensions. Mr. Pettibone is a gay icon. He hides in the closet, not waiting to surprise you with information of his sexual preference, but waiting to spook anyone who doesn't know he's already in there, and offer some pivotal life advice if they're curious.
Scary Godmother said that there will be monsters at the party, and I'm scared of monsters.
Oh my! You just haven't met enough good ones yet.
In the books, this character used to wear clothes because drawing and painting a ribcage over and over again will literally make you want to die, but it is actually easier to move the model of a skeleton in a 3D space as opposed to dealing with the animation of clothes, so they opted to make him mostly naked. Also in this world is Bugaboo, a monster that hides under children's bed waiting to spook them.
I'm over here.
There's the vampiric family, with the patriarch being Count Max. What a terrifying, horrifying name for a vampire. Fuck guys, look out. It's the Vampire Max. This guy was designed to imitate Count Orlok from the 1920s movie Nosferatu. He's old-fashioned in his views and his drip, and goes by the moniker of
King of the Night.
That's so corny, Drake would use it as an alias.
Embarrassing.
The matriarch of the family is the queen of the night, Ruby. Yeah, it's a whole nocturnal ass family we got here. Ruby is slightly more modern than her husband. Her appearance harkens back to the titular character of the 1950s hosted horror movie program, The Vampira Show. The Count and his lady had a kid named Orson, whose attire matches the goth aesthetic of 1984.
This is like George Orwell's book, 1984.
I like how there's a generational divide in how the vampires choose to present themselves. It gives each of them more of a distinct character, since the clothes you wear give a little insight into how you wish the world to see you. The other monstrous character is the worst of them all, Harry the werewolf.
Roll over. I will not degrade myself. Over.
This character was meant to mimic the most nerdy, irredeemably annoying collectors that you'd see at Comic-Con. When casting this character, it was important to find someone who could imitate the strange voice patterns of a wildly obsessive aficionado. According to the Wikipedia for this movie, it says, the affectations were based the most on one fan who she, Jill Thompson, described in a published interview as into creepy fan art drawings, but refused to reveal his name to not embarrass him. At a convention, the fan was upset at Thompson for not mentioning him.
What the fuck?
Every now and then, while we discuss the special and Harry's on screen, just think about that. And think about how good of a job this voice actor, Gary Chalk, is doing.
Don't be coy, my dear. I'm really a huge fan.
You know who she is?
Of course! It's Ophelia St. Tartar, who played the Princess of Ectoplasmania in episode 42 of The Spectral Six.
In the earthly realm, filled with humans, or what I hope are humans, we have the very thing that makes Scary Godmother a godmother. Her godchild, Hannah Marie, who is scared of monsters, dressed as a princess for Halloween, and handles most of her problems with kindness. Next is her demented cousin Jimmy, who is doing that thing I said earlier about clothes showcasing how you want the world to see you. Thompson has some interesting words to say when describing Jimmy. Check it out.
I wrote these stories in the late 90s, and while Jimmy is a bit of a bully,
Speak of the devil, and the devil shall appear.
he's really just misguided. If you have a hero in a story, you need a villain, and Jimmy fits that bill. He's mostly motivated by greed, so he can be rehabilitated.
Jimmy and his gaggle of goons get into some Halloween shenanigans that inadvertently lead to Hannah meeting the most special person she'll ever know, Orson. Anyway, in the gaggle, we have Daryl, and surprisingly, he's not the black kid. Daryl's a little naive and has a crush on Katie, the only girl in the friend group. He came dressed as a piece of candy because he's just so sweet. Katie came dressed as a cat because she and her friends are too scared to go into the abandoned house, and she actually wanted to reflect what the world sees them as. Katie is down bad for Daryl, but at times she also seems to have mild feelings for Jimmy. This is a classic one. This is one of those go for the nice guy, or go for the guy who's got a sense of danger to him. My advice? Go for the one who most likely won't shoot up a school.
Really? My mom doesn't let me touch glitter.
Bert, of course, has his hat backwards because he came dressed as a professional baseball player, known to wear their hats in the opposite direction.
He ain't no baseball player in his SUV.
Embarrassing. The most clever aspect of his costume isn't the baseball tee with no team affiliation but rather just team colors. No, it's the cardboard box he made to emulate an SUV. The only thing he's really missing now to solidify the costume of a baseball legend is to have a transcript listing all the steroids he uses, and then deny them.
Door is ajar. Door is ajar. Door is ajar. Will you stop that? Please fasten your safety belts.
The story sees these two distinctly different worlds colliding when a young girl meets her scary godmother and her life changes forever. Will it be for the worst? Or has her life gotten way scarier? Time to find out. After panning down from the full moon, we see a variety of different trick-or-treaters in their costumes. Shout out Pac-Man. I'm also sure this is Jimmy walking over there to get his cousin. At times, this movie really looks like a cutscene from an early PlayStation 2 game. You're gonna have to ignore that, okay? Oh shit! Oh shit! We then close in on Daryl running to meet up with Katie, who is right outside of the cemetery. They discuss their costumes just in time for Bert to show up. Or should I say pull up, since he's rocking that exclusive 2003 SUV model. Moderately eco-friendly at that. Damn. Bert finds some time to flex on Daryl before getting into what he's supposed to be.
Got enough room in your trunk for all the candy we'll get? I said, do you have... Let me roll down the window. Ah, that's better. Now I can hear you.
Watching in the distance is the scoundrel we all love to hate.
The man we're about to meet is the devil.
Speak of the devil, and the devil shall appear.
He makes his dramatic entrance, which is still in third place in terms of character entrances. Right above Jimmy is obviously Bert, and at the top of the list, we have Hannah, who Jimmy blames for being late since he had to bring her along. She struggles to volley over the grave of some deceased guy, then joins the others and makes her cute and wholesome introduction. Katie is the first one to recognize Hannah's drip.
I like your fairy princess wings. Aren't they cool? I helped with the glitter.
Really? My mom doesn't let me touch glitter.
My mom too.
Not since that incident with the glue and the dog.
Not for the same weird reason, but because I requested it. I happened to get a speckle of glitter in my eye once, and I was not the same ever again. Hannah, being the gracious royal she is, has also brought along some candy bars to add to everyone's stash. However, the only one who's ungrateful is Jimmy. What a surprise. The guy in the devil costume is a piece of shit.
I'll put this in my glove compartment for later.
I can get my own Halloween candy. I don't need any baby's help.
Next, he attempts to wrangle the gang together to head towards whatever spooky destination is first, but his opening speech is a little derailed by the choice of everyone's costumes.
Now, my creatures of the night.
Sorry to interrupt, Jimmy, but I'm not really a creature of the night. I'm a baseball player. And I'm a piece of candy!
Hannah showcases her unique skills of optimism and creative interpretation, finding the balance between the scary and the mundane in reference to the cutesy costumes the boys have chosen.
Hey! You could be a mean piece of candy, like when you eat too much of it, and it finally gets you sick.
That's good. I'm that last piece of candy that makes you sick.
Katie doesn't need that because...
I'm a full-fledged creature of the night!
Bert's also convinced he's a creature of the night soon enough.
Now, Bert, baseball players play night games, right?
That's true. So I'm like a half creature of the night.
Back into the speech.
Now is our time. We become monsters surging forth and...
What did he expect? You can't just fling around the word monster and not expect people to freak out. We're only human.
Don't look at me.
The gang takes this opportunity to segue into a flashback, where we see Katie and Daryl roleplay as Hannah's mother and father, replaying the discussion over monsters and Halloween night with Jimmy. Katie chasses across the cemetery while she does her part. I can't tell if she's embodying Hannah's mom or the cat costume she's wearing. Also, how festively morbid that this is all happening in a graveyard. Very fun.
Monsters?
Oh, she'll be fine. She'll be with Jimmy and his friends. They're very responsible. Especially that Katie. She's got a good head on her shoulders.
I'm just glad she's going with Daryl. He's so big and strong, he can take care of any monsters.
Monsters?
Jimmy tries to make his debut in the flashback, but
Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong already!
we find out that Hannah was given the flashlight strictly to protect herself from monsters. Which is kind and all, but I think next year, Hannah should request something that at least goes boom when you click the on button. Maybe something sharp.
Monsters?
And just like that, the flashback is over.
That was a lot like it happened.
Correction, that was a word-for-word reenactment. Those two events? The one with your parents and the fake ones? They were symmetrical. There were no changes made.
Here you go, honey. Monsters can't stand flashlights.
Hello, Jimmy. Oh, don't you look cute?
Next, Jimmy sends Hannah on a monster hunt near the gravestones while he gathers his friends together. And I got a feeling they're up to something not too good. Something about this costume just screams evil. Also, if this was in a city and not the most crime-free suburb in America, I'd be afraid that Hannah would shine this flashlight near one of these headstones and just find a guy taking a shit. Just some guy who hates his dead dad on Halloween or something. So what's Jimmy's plan?
We're gonna ditch Hannah. We all want lots of candy, don't we?
Whoa, I don't know.
So we'll scare her, and she'll run home, and then we can do what we want, okay?
What? No, she gave me this. Don't me turn on somebody who gave me this? Someone who acts with so much charity, so much goodwill, genuine kindness? Okay. Okay, sure.
That's basically how this goes. Jimmy is like, if you want candy and you want it fast, kill the girl. I mean, not exactly, but we do gotta leave her in some ditch or something. And they're like, cool, you make a good point.
Well, she's kind of slow.
The plan is to just scare her and leave her somewhere. This is a horrifying proposal they made. Just gonna scare her senseless, then run away, leaving her by herself at like 8 p.m. on Halloween night. Luckily, this is the safest suburb in America. If it was any other suburb, she might end up on the 7 o'clock news, resting peacefully alongside all these people. After the plans are decided on, we get this sinister shot of Jimmy. I like how this shot accentuates the evil motives of his plan, with the deep shadows on his eyes and his weird eyebrows. Jimmy tells Hannah that if she wants to set herself up as an official big kid, she needs to survive the spook house. I feel like I need to censor that. Leading up to the house, Jimmy tells a story about how the old owners forgot to leave candy for some monsters, so they were eaten instead.
Years ago on Halloween night, the people who lived here forgot to leave candy for the hungry monsters and got eaten for it!
You get it? The monsters are the children. But now, the new kid has to leave candy in the basement to keep the monsters around here from
eating every kid in the world! And guess who's the new kid?
Then they all do some tingly fingers as Hannah finds out she's the newest kid of every kid in the whole wide world. A goddamn baby isn't more new than her. And on top of that, every child's life depends on what she does tonight. No pressure. Hannah makes her way inside despite the haters in the back.
Your little cousin just went into the spook house.
Yeah, now what, Jimmy? Your plan of telling her to do something scary and she doesn't do it but instead runs away screaming backfired. And now she's doing it. We could have gotten 12 candy bars by now, dude. Come on. Now utilizing some practical effects, you know, wind magic, shadow magic, and sound magic, the gang manages to frighten the preteen.
I think I hear a skeleton rapping in the closet.
You hear that witch laughing?
Or the werewolf howl?
That's a W, guys.
W's mean it's good. W means win. Yeah. Yep. So they're putting W.
We also get some foreshadowing of the creatures we'll see later in the movie that live on the fright side. I seriously have no idea how they're able to make shadow puppets like that. Like, did they go to extra classes for this skill or what? Hannah makes her way to the basement while the rest of the group leaves.
We'll be right behind you.
He completes the candy ritual, chucking a Snickers bar into the room for the rats. However, the rest of the friends are right outside the house and have successfully locked Hannah inside by herself. The word of the day is drama. Whimpering in the shadows, Hannah is utterly defeated. Better stop crying, Hannah. I hear a monster's favorite meal is the fresh tears of children. But out of the darkness, a faint beam of green light brings the scary godmother to life. At first, Hannah doesn't even realize being, traumatized and all.
Why are you crying?
No, Hannah, wrong question. You were taught explicitly how to handle these types of situations by your parents. Blind them. Hannah is introduced to her scary godmother, who tells her she showed up because Hannah needed her.
Say hello to your scary godmother.
My what?
Scary godmother! Ta-da!
You mean you came because I was scared?
Sure, I came because you needed me.
And I only claim BS because with a cousin like Jimmy, this cannot be the first time he's tortured you like this. Has she been on vacation or something? Moving past that, Scary Godmother asks why Hannah was wasting all those succulent child tears, to which Hannah says it was because of monsters. Luckily, this is her Scary Godmother's expertise.
Monsters.
Monsters? Boy, oh boy, are you in luck! Some of my best friends are monsters.
If it was like my parents are getting divorced or Hannah has diabetes, there are other godmothers for that, because this one isn't prepared in those categories. So thank God it was monsters. They whiz off through the chimney and past the clouds. We get these shots that brought tears to Jill Thompson's eyes when the animation company brought it to life. And I can see why. I want to eat these clouds. Outside of the scaredy house, Jimmy and his friends have been laughing for the past half hour. They've been waiting here for Hannah to come out, but no sign of her yet. Hopefully this plan didn't backfire too.
We'll wait right here for her. She'll come out screaming any second.
In the Frightside house, we see Scary Godmother looking for her broommate when he bursts out of the closet and scares the kindness out of Hannah, causing her to call him a
monster!
Watch your profanity.
Clarification, he is not a monster, he is just skinless, organless, bloodless, and muscleless. You would look the same given those conditions, but wouldn't carry it half as fabulously.
Sorry to be so late, but I just had to get these old bones bleached for the party.
We find out Scully is getting ready for a party that's to be hosted right here that gets held every Halloween. Apparently it's a
Who's Boo of Monsters? And incidentally, Boo are you?
Scully then finds out who this strange child in his home is, and he is introduced as...
This is Mr. Pettibone. He's our official skeleton in the closet.
We also get this line.
Does everyone have a skeleton in their closet?
Almost everyone, little miss. I work in the closets of all the old houses, keeping their secrets and just rattling around.
So let me get this straight. This guy is just sneaking around, listening to my most private conversations, observing what I do when no one is around, and keeping it all in an easily accessible file? Wait, what? No, not the last part. That's just the NSA. That's a whole different monster. Also, do you think he gets paid for this? We then get a metaphor for JoJo's Bizarre Adventure fans.
Monsters are a lot like spiders. Some are real nice, and some are not so nice. But all of them are creepy and crawly.
To make up for the impromptu fainting, Scary Godmother adds the holiday decorations to a Halloween-themed house. It's like Halloween squared in there now. We then transition from the spooky home to the spook house. Before the home, we see some trick-or-treaters, and this totally looks like a redesign of Hannah's 3D model, right? And this is a redesign of Katie's, right? Or am I crazy? Am I the crazy one? The group is still outside the house where they're waiting for Hannah, wasting precious Halloween time.
Aw man, this is wasting our precious trick-or-treating time.
At least Daryl and I were smart enough to get some trick-or-treating in on the way here.
We get to see Katie and Daryl trading candy pieces, and it quickly devolves into gross flirting. Disgusting. This is a holiday for kissing ghouls, not girls.
I don't have any kisses. Oh. Disgusting!
Next, we see Jimmy hating hard on Bert's costume. Bold words for someone dressed like this.
Bert, nobody puts CBs in SUVs these days.
You just left your baby cousin to the mercy of killer monsters on Halloween night, and you're concerned with the additions and upgrades in my cardboard SUV?
Beast. Also, Bert's eyes popped out like this meme right here. Back on the fright side, we get introduced to the next guest of the party, and Hannah reacts as any rational person would. I really despise his teeth. They make me feel unbelievably uncomfortable. The other trait that sets Harry apart is his love for candy. This love is bordering on obsession or addiction. I swear, my man has to suffer from withdrawals if he doesn't get a sugary fix.
Where are those wonderful smells emanating from? The goodie plate, I believe. You won't mind if I just sample the delicacies, do you? Ow! No!
When meeting Hannah, he mistakenly thinks she's one of the main characters from his favorite show. Man completely fanboys over her. No sense of couth right here.
But it can't be!
It can't be what?
Oh, don't be coy, my dear. I'm really a huge fan.
You know who she is?
Of course! It's Ophelia St. Tartar, who played the Princess of Ectoplasmania in episode 42 of the Spectral Six. She's practically in the same costume as well! What a priceless in-joke for those of us who are longtime spectators, like myself, of course. Hors d'oeuvre, Miss Tartar? It's not for me, it's for Miss Tartar. Do you mind if I call you Ophelia?
I don't mind, but it's not my name.
Harry, this is not Ophelia St.
I am such a huge fan of the show. I must know every single line from every single episode.
This is only broken up by a short educational snack break from Scary Godmother. I like the switch in presentation here and how it feels like another homage to the original medium. We're then introduced to the vampire family. This special was actually the first time I ever heard about that rule that vampires can't enter a home without being invited in.
Why are they just standing there?
Oh no, that's right! Vampires can't enter a house unless you invite them in!
Really? That's very polite.
Such polite murderers. These guys also mistake Hannah for something else, thinking she was an hors d'oeuvre.
Great! Help yourselves to the food.
I mean, can you blame them? Her grandmother probably feels the same way about her sometimes. You know how they go, "You're so cute, I could eat you right up." That's a threat. Hannah, against her better judgment, is introduced more personally to Orson. We then get this revolving shot as they find out more about each other, specifically major differences in their lifestyles.
You're just a kid.
So are you.
Do you go to school?
Sure, night school. Don't you go to school?
I go to school. Sacred Heart.
Sounds tasty. But you go during the day.
So?
How can you see with all that sunlight in your eyes?
I can't see in the dark.
You can't?
It's his first real human. Cute.
This is also Orson's first human experience, and he's doing pretty well so far. He hasn't said anything awkward or asked anything too personal, or called Hannah something mean like homeless.
You're homeless?
The two run into the kitchen where they decapitate Scully and give Harry a big old swig of olive oil. The fuck is this? A little later, Harry is putting the moves on Ruby. I think she's gonna need some shots after this. That's a double entendre, by the way.
Oh, Miss Ruby, delightful to see you, my dear.
Max puts this nigga to sleep and not in the way I was hoping for.
So, Max, you run in a celebrity crowd. Do you think you'll be seeing Miss Crystal? If you do, perhaps an autograph?
Harry,
Yes, Max?
look deeply into my eyes.
Okay, looking.
Now, cease your chattering and sleep.
Sleep? On an empty stomach? But
We also get this joke, which made me chuckle a little, mostly for Max's weird laugh afterward.
Can I get you a drink? Thank you. Bloody Mary. Hold the Mary.
There's a huge thud coming from the door, and Hannah and her scary godmother walk up to it. An ominous voice from behind the door calls out,
Hey! You starting a party without me?
Scary godmother invites the voice in. With a slam of the door, the voice is put to an even more horrifying face. Why the fuck didn't you warn her? Show her a picture of the people attending or something, lady. She could have passed out from fear alone. She passed away from fear alone. Hannah isn't adjusting well.
Take a deep breath.
And we get this line from Bugaboo alluding to whatever job he has.
If I start scaring kids after hours, I'm gonna put in for overtime.
And before we know it, we have a chase scene. I mean, what would you do if this was happening to you?
Now calm down, kid, calm down!
Hannah quickly gets her flashlight and incinerates the monsters. This house is now for sale and vacant due to the termination of the tenants. Anyone trying to buy?
It's free real estate.
Yeah, that weak-ass flashlight from the toy aisle in Walmart doesn't kill monsters. Barely even aggravates their corneas. It actually
Only work on monsters that hide in your closet. Yeah, and Bugaboo is a monster that hides under your bed.
But still,
Nice cover.
the theme of this special rears its ugly head again as Hannah reads Bugaboo for filth.
Big and scary is right.
Hannah, noting that everyone fucks with Bugaboo, is pressured to accept this big ball of fuzz and eyes, saying,
Maybe you're not that mean after all.
Does that mean you'll stay?
You got it! After all, it is my house.
With all the guests here, the mansion is able to go into full squash and stretch mode, even waking up the souls that were used to construct this home from their dormant slumber. After a dance montage, we return to the losers who wasted Halloween, and the mutiny is brewing.
Who made you leader?
What do you mean? Of course I'm the leader.
That's not fair. We didn't even vote.
You want to vote? Fine, we'll vote.
Hell yeah, good old democracy.
I found the democratic process so tiring. It's so much easier just to break the rules.
Who wants Bert for leader?
We then get probably the best bit in the special.
That's one vote for everyone. I demand a recount. 1, 2. That's still one vote for everyone. Recount. That's one vote for everyone. Recount.
What are you doing? Nobody has changed their vote.
I just want to see how long he'll keep this up.
Oh.
Recount. That's one vote for everyone. Recount.
Will you two stop it?
Since democracy isn't working, the group moves on to playground games to decide the winner. And think of a better alternative to find a leader, except maybe like mud wrestling. Jimmy uses deceit, wit, and bravery, but mostly deceit, and secures his spot as leader. And man, for someone that good at being manipulative, he deserves to be the leader. I feel like I can trust him to do the right thing at the wrong time and the wrong thing at the right time. Despite it all, he'll always put himself first.
Go! Ha! Rock beats scissors, scissors, scissors! I'm still the leader, and I rule no more voting.
In the Scary Godmother house, we get a quick scene where Orson tells Hannah about his aspirations to be a vampire lord or whatever. But more interestingly are Hannah's career aspirations. Listen to this.
Someday I'll be a movie star princess veterinarian astronaut ballerina. With a pony.
Damn, with a pony? The only thing on my to-do list was this. And one day, I'm gonna wake up and realize that I failed at even doing that. We then get a quick glimpse into what vampire marriage is like with an age gap.
I love your dress, Ruby.
This old thing, I was practically buried in it.
Newfangled fashions. I remember when a vampire queen used to look like a queen. Me too.
Oh, Max, it's just a modern little frock.
Too modern and too little for my tastes. You can practically see her ankles.
Don't freak out, Max. After all, you can see my ankles.
Mine too.
I think she looks nice.
Oh, ravishing, yes. Beautiful, of course. But But her ankles, really? 1 century it is corsets and bustles, and the next thing you know, it's platforms and miniskirts?
And the worst party guest in a 100-mile radius is awakened by an ill-timed snap. You thought the Thanos home was bad. No, this is way worse. We move from the Wolfman with onset diabetes to a very candid conversation between the married couple concerning social anxiety. What a shift, right?
You are usually the death of the party.
I do not want to talk about it.
Oh, tell me, my alabaster Romeo, why are you so out of sorts?
Yeah, it is just...
What, Maxie? I don't want any bad blood between us.
I am simply no good at parties. Look at the others, conversing with ease. I feel out of touch, and then I get self-conscious.
But these are our friends. They like you just the way you are. 500 years their senior.
I know. I just have to remind myself every now and again that it is the 20th century now.
21st century, my precious.
Great! Now my watch is stopped as well.
I enjoy you, Maxie. But if you want to break the ice, start with a joke.
A joke? I think I will try. But first...
Luckily for them, and not so much for their child, nothing gets vampires hornier than healthy emotional support. After Harry gets his flea-infested tail in the mill, the roommates have to think up another option for food. Of course, they go with the correct answer for so many questions.
Pizza would be a nice change.
Pizza? Back in my day, we never thought of putting cheese and sauce and... Pizza is a groovy idea?
Harry then triggers Max, intentionally I'm sure.
I'll order. They know the sound of my voice at Diablo Brothers. Now, who wants garlic?
What are you, a maniac? Are you trying to poison my family?
We see everybody has a special request for the pizza, and this leads right into the theme of the special again. Because the creature Hannah fears most has something in common with her. But that can't be true. How could there be any ounce of similarity with someone who looks completely different than you? Doesn't make any goddamn sense. This is the most far-fetched storytelling I've ever encountered in one of my reviews.
Yeah! Extra cheese and olives! Yeah!
You eat pizza with cheese and olives?
Yeah, I like olives, so?
I thought monsters ate little girls.
Oh, that's silly.
We eat little girls, boys, and anything else that's little. We don't discriminate. Nah, the real reason is...
Little girls make the crust all soggy.
You got your ass again.
Just joking, kid.
The real reason is...
It's my job to scare kids, not eat them. If I went around eating all the clients, I'd be out of work.
And yes, the most unbelievable answer is correct. Who is hiring him? Who is paying him to do this? What currency does he get paid in? Bitcoin? Scarebucks? British pounds?
Who told you that bunch of nonsense?
My cousin Jimmy.
Rule number 1. Don't trust a nigga in a devil costume. I've been down that road, and it is not pretty. Back on Earth, these dorks are still waiting for Hannah to come running out of the spook house. If it was me there, I'm assuming she's dead, right? It's been more than 2 hours. You know any 10-year-old that can go that long without making a sound, especially when scared? The bitch is dead. Hysteria has taken hold of the gang, forcing Jimmy to resort to mild violence and eye enlarging to get the rest of the group on the same page. He reminds them that there are no monsters, let alone if there are, they shouldn't believe in them. They're larger variants of children after all. And with that larger size comes the responsibility to manipulate the smaller children into believing damn near anything. Pizza shows up and it costs around $200.
That'll be $197. Tip not included.
$200 in pizza?
Why you have to be mad?
And that stingy godmother isn't willing to sell her soul in order to feed the party guests she invited.
Of course, you could
Sign for it.
No. Sorry. My soul is worth more than 12 pizzas.
What a prima donna. Turns to her bony brewmate and the pizza orderer himself in search of some cash. This leads to the frisking of Bugaboo for loose bills.
Ooh, let's see if Bugaboo has any money stuck to him from being under the beds all day.
Right.
After paying for the pizza, Harry attempts to get the boxes while no one is looking. The last thing you want to do is piss off a witch on Halloween. Unfortunately, that's what this asshole has been doing all night.
You have wrecked my snack table, insulted my roommates, made a mess of my house, and stuck me for 12 pizzas. Harry, sometimes you are insensitive, boorish, and you just have plain lousy table manners.
No, please, I'll do anything.
I know you will, Harry. You'll help me in the pumpkin patch, you'll knit spider webs, clean the tombs. Oh, yes, you'll probably have tonight paid off by Halloween next year. Enjoy your pizza.
We tune back in where Max is showing off his stand-up routine.
So other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you enjoy the show?
That's fucking funny. I don't care. Max is cool. Hannah finally remembers that it's Halloween and she has plans for the evening, and maybe shouldn't have spent the past 4 hours hanging out with strangers in a whole different dimension, off the assumption that this strange woman is her godmother from a parallel world.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment.
Well, now she has to get back. But first, she offers some candy to Bugaboo, who says,
Well, aren't you sweet? How did you know monsters like candy?
My cousin Jimmy told me. He said that every year a new kid has to leave candy for the monsters. Otherwise, the monsters will come and eat every one of us.
Hannah recounts how Jimmy told her the story of the basement monsters and the ritual that happens every Halloween night, and all the creatures laugh at the uneducated stereotype. That's when Bugaboo realizes who the fuck Jimmy is. This is one of his clients. He shows off his little Thursday schedule and says he's been scaring Jimmy for a while. He stays under the bed so he hears all about the fears, phobias, and triggers of all his victims. This is news to Hannah, who didn't even know big kids got scared. So whenever you're in your room and thinking of divulging a secret or compartmentalizing some trauma you've been through, check under your bed for a horrifying furry 3D model ball monster who is evilly smirking at the thought of you feeling safe enough in your room to be vulnerable. Also that there's a skeleton in your closet listening in on you as well. Long story short, these guys are all just creeps. Seeing an opportunity, Scary Godmother puts together a plan that will make this Halloween the most memorable one yet for the big kids. The monsters try to decide who will enter the home first to retrieve Hannah. Meanwhile, the fun monsters have returned to the human realm, hiding in the shadows of the house. The big kids finally enter and find Orson, who is happy to talk to them.
He's a baseball player driving his SUV. Nice laser cannon, by the way. See? The vampire kid knows what I'm supposed to be.
Aw, he ain't no vampire. He's just another dorky kid someone else dared to go into the spook house.
After Jimmy shits on Orson's costume, the vampire kid calls his parents. Max, being the Chad he is, enters and opens the conversation with a joke.
Darling, stop me if you've heard this one. 4 naughty kids walk into a spook house.
And?
What end? And we eat them, of course!
Oh, now you tell the funny joke.
The kids don't find it as funny, and frankly, it's not as hilarious as the Abraham Lincoln just died joke. Scully performs a show-stopping number, but due to his stage fright, he always falls apart. After running blindly away from them, Scooby-Doo style, the big kids find Harry.
Oh yes, howl, howl, aren't I frightful? Rend, tear, fold, mutilate.
And poor stupid Daryl doesn't even know the danger he's in until it's too late. Harry's the only one not doing this as a joke and literally just has a problem.
Candy!
Scary Godmother lures them into the basement using that Wicked Witch of the West vibe. Even she mentions it.
Hurry, my minions! Capture them before they reach the safety of the basement! Basement!
Inside the dark basement, we finally see the characters with white pupils instead of the raisins that are usually there.
Daryl, I can't think with you breathing right down my neck.
Jimmy? I'm over here.
A light glistens in the dark, scaring the fiercest monster of them all. The one who's literally paid to do this type of thing. Hannah, the conqueror of monsters, destroyer of devils, and the princess of pain, illuminates a path toward freedom right through the house, as the scaredy cat older kids follow suit behind her, doubly so for Katie. All the monsters give Emmy Award-winning performances, with a special shout out to Scary Godmother for her practical use of melting magic. Harry is on his Shakespeare for this part for some reason.
Look how that light radiates into my countenance!
You're not getting a callback, dude. Just finish up.
'Tis too much for me in my pithy soul. The light burns! It burns worse than the worst burn ever! Oh, mercy me! Is this the end of poor Harry? It seems so. Goodbye, Mother. I can see a long tunnel with a bright light. I move towards the light. No, all right. I die. I flail. Then I die.
As the big kids escape, clutching their chests and double-checking their sense of reality,
Hannah! Would you mind holding my hand? Oh, just in case you get scared, that is.
Hannah is given a key from her godmother, which allows her to come back to the fright side whenever she wants, ending the Halloween Spooktakular.
I'd like to do it one more time, though. I think I can do it.
So,
I can do it better.
Any pizza left?
Hopefully, you're not afraid of monsters anymore after watching this video. However, I am sorry if you have a new fear of blonde children because of this. What did you think of the movie? Did you think it was spooktastic? Spookverage? Spookable? Me? I thought it was perfect.
Recount!
Okay, maybe not perfect, but it was pretty close. Visually, I don't think this movie aged very well. It accentuates the monstrous characters with their skinny long limbs, their bulbous eyes, and the fur that was a pain to animate. But for the human characters, yikes. At times, they look equally as monstrous. I think this adds charm to the movie, but simultaneously, it can make it difficult to get invested if you're not a fan of the visuals right off the bat. And at times, this movie gives off more of an uncanny horror vibe than I think it intended to. Specifically, whenever Harry's lips are too close to the screen, or Bugaboo's anything is too close to the screen.
What are you? A coal miner?
That's not to say there aren't some pretty magical moments, like during the broom riding scene. While the visuals didn't age so well, I think the story fared much better. A classic tale of being saved from an awful circumstance by a magical godparent, but this time with a Halloween twist. The story had a real sense of magic to it. Obviously in the literal sense with the whole witch thing, but this idea that there's a realm that allows you to escape from the monstrous moments in life to hang out with a bunch of scary monsters that all fuck with you is surreal and calming in a way. It's also nice that these guys will traumatize your bullies for you. While I find this parallel world and its presentation interesting and magical, I don't think it's explored very much, nor the characters who inhabit it. We know nothing about the Fright Side since we barely even see any other aspects of the world outside of this house and the pumpkin patch. Oh yeah, and the pizza delivery guy who will take souls instead of cash.
You could
Sign for it.
Nigga, shut the hell up and eat a cinnamon roll.
The series that really makes this Halloween world feel alive is a series of Halloween Town movies or Nightmare Before Christmas. The job of Scary Godmother isn't given any detail other than this.
You mean you came because I was scared?
Sure, I came because you needed me.
Which is fine and keeps a sense of whimsy, but I can't help but ask myself if anyone else got one of these. If she has other god kids, what are the rules for entering into the human world? Why is this chosen as the moment she needed her and not other moments? Kids may not ask these questions when watching. I didn't. But this was also intended to be for older audiences, and they'll definitely wonder. And even in kids' media, world building is a big part of keeping the audience invested, i.e. Monsters Incorporated.
What would you say you do here?
I wish we had more reasons as to why she was here to begin with and what drew her to Hannah specifically. It's really nice knowing that someone was waiting there to help her, but to give Scary Godmother motive for why that choice was made tonight and what intrigued her most about Hannah could have given her more of a character and developed her relationship with her godchild. For crying out loud, we don't even get to know her name. We know nothing about Scary Godmother, other than that she has magic, is nice, and has a very unique fashion sense. Maybe I'm just expecting too much from my magical godmothers. Another aspect of the story I wish was expanded on just a bit was why Bugaboo and Scully do what they do. With the whole hiding in the closet and under the bed thing. Just why? Why?
Does everyone have a skeleton in their closet?
Almost everyone, little miss.
Since I'm under kids' beds, I know all the things they're afraid of. It's my job.
Are you getting paid for that, or is it just for fun? Be honest with me. Money for fun. Personally, I think Bugaboo is paid by some weird monster employer for what he does, but Scully hides in the closet for recreational purposes. Would love to hear your thoughts below. I was also a little confused by the children after they locked Hannah inside the spook house. Their plan was to just scare her, see her run home, and do what they want. Why even care if they scared her? Just leave her by herself there and she'll run home. They thought she would do that anyway after being frightened by their prank. Or maybe Jimmy just wanted to be super certain that she ran safely home after traumatizing her with his prank.
Well, she's kind of slow. We can go faster as a group.
I don't know. Just something about this kid makes me think he wouldn't give a shit. An aspect of the characters that I really liked was their relationships with each other. Specifically, the small moments where characters interact, like when Hannah and Orson share their aspirations. It's really cute and adds to both of their characters.
Someday I'll be king of the night.
Someday I'll be movie star princess veterinarian astronaut ballerina. With a pony.
Another one of my favorites was this one, where Ruby and her husband Count Max discuss the struggles of social anxiety in a party setting.
I am simply no good at parties. Look at the others, conversing with ease. I feel out of touch, and then I get self-conscious.
Definitely one of those moments put in for the older kids watching. I also like this conversation about showing ankle and how scandalous it is.
Newfangled fashions. I remember when a vampire queen used to look like a queen. Me too.
Oh, Max, it's just a modern little frock.
Too modern and too little for my tastes. You can practically see her ankles.
Don't freak out, Max. After all, you can see my ankles.
Mine too.
However interesting this dialogue was, none of these conversations had any real payoff, other than the line about opening with a joke. The majority were here to give a sense of the character, not to push forward or add to the plot. The same can't be said for the pivotal side conversations between Bugaboo and Hannah that taught her that all monsters aren't scary. And I even think we could say that about the other conversations that were held. They all broke down that barrier that Hannah had, which is that she was fearful of all monsters based on some preconceived idea of them. A preconceived idea that came from her evil cousin Jimmy.
Hannah, do you think any of us would eat you? No, not anymore.
And you know, I think I learned that lesson too. Let's try it out. I'm going to show some monsters and we'll point out the scary ones together. Not scary. Scary. Not scary. Not scary. Very scary. Ah! Yeah, the theme for this whole spooktacular was to not let stereotypical depictions of groups and monsters stop you from getting to know people who look way different than you.
Kids, don't be racist.
Because you may find yourself a new friend to eat pizza with.
Yeah! Extra cheese and olives! Yeah!
Looking back at this special, I see why it kept me so engaged as a kid. It's at times a trippy, nightmare-fueled ride through a cemetery on a flaming flying broom in the most spook-mazing way possible. Find myself sometimes looking at the monsters and thinking, if not friend, why friend-shaped? In other times, why? Why, God, why? Why do this to us? Why punish us like this? The artistic style is super unique and not for everyone. The story is heartwarming with an almost perfect conclusion. Sadly, Jimmy is still alive, and successfully brings the two-dimensional work to a 3D space, enhancing the magic that was found on the original pages, while still giving homage to the source material in the backgrounds, the cutaway gags, and the expressiveness of the characters. While the characters aren't given much depth, they successfully shape Hannah into the character she is by the end of the special, using their monstrous features and their stereotypical depictions to wreak mental havoc on the bullies who locked Hannah in the house to begin with, painting Hannah as the fearless hero she is, and in a way, had always been. Despite hearing the scary story her cousin told and seeing all the kids' special effects, Hannah still went down to stop monsters from eating all the kids in the world. She only whimpered a little when she felt like she was trapped, and some of you niggas would have been like this too. And we later see all of the bullies outside of the house unable to even build up the courage to enter the building to even see if Hannah is okay, let alone alive. They made up the story, but somehow they're shitting their pants just thinking about stepping inside this place. Bitch made.
Would you mind holding my hand? Oh, just in case you get scared, that is.
Nigga, shut the hell up and eat a cinnamon roll.
All that to say, don't let older kids tell you what to do, especially when they're dressed like this. Overall, I love this special and would sell 3 kidneys to get a sequel made, but fortunately, I don't gotta. Cause like an October miracle, the special was given a baby sister named Jimmy's Revenge. I guess I can sell those kidneys for a trilogy.
Just joking, kid.
If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike. Be happy, be healthy, and do something courageous this Halloween. Maybe a haunted house, or summon a demon, or lock your cousin inside a horrifying abandoned home. Me? I'm staying my scared ass at home. I've been Witty G, and happy Halloween. See ya.
So other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how did you enjoy the show?